Welcome back to Emerald and Lilywhite. This is episode 12. We are the official YouTube channel of Seattle Spurs, brought to you by the Wits End in Finney Ridge and Cascades in Puyallup. Here to talk all things Tottenham from the Seattle perspective. Start by introducing my co-host this evening, Max at Going Limbs. Max, what's up, man?
Not much. Just crushing loss at Newcastle, and the end of the window, so a lot to talk about today.
Yeah, no doubt. With us also is Alex Chang. Chang, what's up, man?
Nothing much. Glad to be here.
No doubt. Never a bad day when you get to talk Spurs. Not the greatest of conversations, and I had to push myself through a little bit of pep there in the intro because it's not always exciting to talk Spurs when we have some shit to slog through. But we'll start with the result up at Newcastle, as we talked about on the preview. Trip up to St. James Park is never favorable for Spurs, or at least as of late has not been. And we made the journey up north once again. And as we all know by now, the result did not favor Spurs, maybe expected, right? But let's start with the lineup, and I'll go to you, Max. Did anything surprise you when you saw that first 11? I think, we knew Solanke was out. We knew Richarlison was out. What'd you make of that as soon as you saw it?
Yeah. Well, it was evident that with Kulusevski at the 9 that they really did not want Brennan to start, which I feel like was warranted because of his first two performances. But Kulu at the 9 is definitely a choice that clearly didn't work out on Sunday. And then obviously Dragoshin coming in for Mickey. I did not see that coming. I mean, Mickey finished the game against Everton, had a great assist late on after he's sustained his knee injury. So really wasn't expecting that. Didn't give me the utmost confidence, but he did put in a good shift for us. So can't complain too much about Radu, but yeah, definitely surprising to see him and then Decky at the 9 there.
Yeah, I agree. Decky at the 9 was surprising. Against Newcastle, I think you need somebody that can attack the ball in the air, and I don't think Decky's quite that profile, right? I do recall, I think he scored with his head once against City. Total just
I remember
fluke.
that.
I mean, he went up strong for it, but kind of came off the side of his forehead and off the crossbar. That was definitely a choice, like you said. Let's look at the midfield quick, Chang. We talked about it on the preview, and it was just Max and I, right? But we talked about how this game may favor Sarr getting the nod, just based on the tactical approach of the opponent and ourselves as well. Sarr did get the nod, was hooked at halftime. I think maybe as more of a requirement for fixing the front three, right? But what'd you make of that midfield overall? Because I thought it was fairly strong.
I was pretty surprised to see Sarr. I think that Ange obviously opted for his legs. He wanted that kind of drive, that motor in the midfield. I thought he was pretty unlucky to be hooked at half, but like you said, it was to fix the front three, and to get Kulusevski out of the 9. But I think the game overall, I think it was positive. Obviously, not the result you wanted, but I think overall, it does look like we're building something, which is all you can really ask for.
Yeah, I mean, we played well. All the data will tell you that, right? I do think to some degree our XG could be stronger for the amount of opportunities we create, right? So maybe we need to continue creating better opportunities, but we're creating opportunities. We've got more of the ball than anyone else has held in the league at any point in time through these first 3 games by quite a margin. So we're totally outpossessing our opponent. And so I think a lot of that comes. I think right away I was pretty frustrated too, but I think more so just because of the points dropped. And when you look at the bigger picture, the performance was there. But let's double click on Kulusevski for a second. And I'll go back to you, Max, because like Chang said, got Kulu out of the 9, but more into that dual 8-10 that we've talked about, which has been incredibly effective. And it looks like Kulusevski is one of the most important creative / attacking pieces as far as Ange is concerned right now.
Yeah, I think Ange does consider him that. I don't know if his performance in this match warrants that title, I thought he was horrible in the first half, to put it bluntly. Like, it was just exact opposite of what we needed at striker, which isn't his fault, but I think Sonny did a better job in the second half, considerably better, in my view. And then in the second half, I don't know whether it was shifting position mid-game, but he didn't really have like the same pep in his step that we saw against Everton. So I think maybe the stint at striker threw him off a bit, but just not a good game by Kulu there. Pretty disappointing, to say the least. I would have liked to, obviously, the decision to hook Sar to drop Kulu is because we were chasing the game at that point, I believe down 1-0 at halftime. So I'm okay with that, but like maybe we can just get like a Lucas Bergvall in the mix or something along with Brennan, because I think that would have been a lot brighter than what Kulu showed us in the second half.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a lot to what you're saying about him playing the first half, through the middle as the false 9 or, 10 or whatever we want to call it. I think there's something to that, but he didn't look great. Brennan, I thought, looked okay when he came on, as much as he's looked poor this season. And as much of a fan of his as I am, I think it was absolutely the right move to not start him. He did not warrant to start in this match by any means. But as we've kind of talked about, he's a little bit more effective off the bench, and I thought he came on and did a pretty good job, created a few opportunities. And as we've talked about, again, tired legs for Brennan is always fairly positive, right? But I agree with you. Kula didn't look great. Bergvall's a great shout. I think we still may see more of him. But as you also said, if we're not chasing the game, Star probably stays on, and maybe Kulu's just hooked, right? But I think when you're down a goal, you think Kulusevski Madison is a better opportunity to create more chances than Sar Madison is, and here we are. But yeah, I think again, if we take a step back and look at the performance, it was very strong and came down to finishing again. Same thing we talked about when we wrapped up Leicester City, right? Is we just didn't take our chances well enough. I know Brennan squandered one in the final third. A couple others come to mind, right? But it's that finishing that we're missing, and it's no surprises both of our registered strikers are unavailable right now, so it puts you in a tough spot.
Yeah, and Will Lancashire hurt as well, so
yeah, that certainly factors.
Not that he would have started, but I think he makes an appearance.
Been on the bench. Yeah, 100%. No doubt. And yeah, Chang, Max talked about it a little bit earlier, but Radu comes in and does a pretty good job, right? I think Romero maybe didn't put in as strong of a shift as we typically see from him. And I'm careful when I say that, because I think that was really just because he was playing on the left side, which he's typically not used to, right? But for me, and here's my question, when we're down Van de Ven, Sans Van de Ven, whatever fancy we want to say, if Van de Ven's not there, I think an adjustment has to be made from both Udogie and honestly the entire back line, but specifically Udogie and in this situation Romero. Their second goal for sure comes to mind here, but when you're down Van de Ven, it's very dangerous, and we're exposed in ways that we're just not exposed to when Van de Ven's there. He really makes it such a huge difference as one single individual player, does he not?
Yeah, to add on to that, I thought Romero, just a mixed bag performance. I thought he had some tackles where he's flying in, he's winning it off Isak's first touch. I think one particular play, I obviously don't know the minute or anything, but comes to mind where Isak takes his first touch to take him forward. Romero just crunches him, gets the ball. Anyways, but if you look at the first goal, Romero, no man's land, jogging back, what are we really seeing? That's honestly unacceptable. He's just ball watching. He's just in his own little world, just jogging back, just watching the play go on. Harvey Barnes scores. The second goal, they play, what is it? Isak through? No.
Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, Jacob Murphy.
Yeah, Jacob Murphy.
Jacob Murphy through, and Romero, if you look at the time, when the pass is being played, he steps up, whether that's an attempt to offsides trap and the rest of the defense isn't on the same page as him, I don't know, like if I think the defense may just not be on the same page on that one, whether that's like the coaching, because Udogi's on the wrong side of Jacob Murphy. Yeah, he's not goal side, so he's just has acres to run into. So I don't know if that one is as much of a fault for Romero as much as it is the entire defense, and maybe like if it's Van de Ven, he catches up. I don't know, but um, I think yeah. So poor from Romero, like on both goals. I thought Dragishin had a pretty good game. I actually thought he was probably our man of the match.
I agree.
Yeah, so I probably thought he was our man of the match. And when it comes to Brennan Johnson, I don't think it was as overwhelmingly a positive performance as people make it out to be. I think it was his best game, but if you look at his crosses, like I don't know if he it feels like Brennan Johnson just crosses the ball to say that he crossed the ball because in the there's nobody in the box to get on the end of it.
I think they're supposed to be though.
I know I understand that like we have no striker, but
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, no, go ahead, chime in.
No, I'm just going to say a couple crosses come to mind where he goes to the far post and Sonny makes a beeline to the spot where he needs to go back post, but it's just
He
like
has to go back.
not being a striker, I think factors in for sure. So there's a couple. I agree with you in some sense. I think sometimes Brennan just fizzes the ball low and just kind of spray and pray mentality, and sometimes it does work. But sometimes with a low cross, I think you kind of have to do that too. But there was a couple crosses to the back post that I think were more on his teammates than him. And yeah, I agree with everything you're saying with the back line. I think some of where I would have liked to seen a little bit of an adjustment for both Udogi and Romero in Udogi's sense, just recognizing that you don't have the fastest center back or fastest player in the Premier League protecting, right? So obviously he's coached to get high and narrow, and I understand that, right? And so maybe it's even a coaching piece to some degree. But when Van de Ven's there, I think you have to tweak the back line. When Van de Ven's not there, I think the back line just has to be somewhat tweaked. And I think Romero maybe just got a little aggressive, but he's used to being able to be aggressive with Van de Ven behind him. So just kind of a lack of an adjustment, I think. But overall, I don't fault the back line, too heavily in this match. And I think Toro put in a pretty standard shift.
I think that second goal, Romero is the only player that was doing the right thing. If they all step with Romero, they're all offsides. It's completely offsides. And Dragusin is the one, like, he played well, but he's the one holding him on. Like, Udogi's up the pitch, Poro's up the pitch. Naturally, I think Romero is like, I wouldn't do this personally, but like I think he's operating like on a higher plane where he sees, these guys are up the pitch, I'm stepping up, they're going to be offsides. And like,
I agree with that.
Should he do that when Van de Ven's not there? I don't know, but I think that is the right decision in that moment. So I don't fault him. It's more shock from Udogi, who's not man's side, Cole's side of his man. Like, what are we doing there? It just can't be a through ball, just one pass that just like we lose a point at the very least. I mean, we easily could have won the game, but we lose a point just because of one pass that goes straight through to the fence. And then also on the Brennan Johnson point, I thought he was fantastic. Like, I thought he was really good. I'd say our best attacker throughout the entire game. And then I know, like, there's no one on the end of those crosses. Like, he has to recognize that, blah, blah, blah. I don't know what else he's going to do. He's not really capable of anything. No offense to him, but he's not like building out. He's not doing combinations with Sonny. And it's a shame because I don't want to blame Son, because I think Son was our best chance creator in the second half. I think him getting on the ball and getting those balls in, whether he should be flocking deeper or out wide, which is where he was, which is probably not what he should be doing, but he was the one putting the most dangerous balls in there. So I want to shout out Sonny, most chances created in the game with 3. Even though people are just blasting him for his movement, like, there's some nuance to that, because the reason he's not there is because sometimes he's creating other chances, and then it's more evident when he's not there to finish what Brennan's doing or what Odebear is doing. I mean, Odebear wasn't doing much, but we can get to that.
He had a rough game.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, let's just talk about Odebear for a second. The sophomore start, right? You could say
sophomore slump.
Yeah. He's just in the sophomore slump, game 2. But no, he did not have a great game. I'm not really interested in beating him up, and I know you guys aren't either, right? He's a young kid, and but yeah, I mean, hey, get after it. Let's go.
Feisty at 6 a.m. Odebear.
Oh, bro, it's just his end product was struggling so hard, and I think you could see it because there's one.
He had a goal he should have scored. He should have scored.
Yeah, the one on the back post where he blasted in the Rose.
Yes, dude, what was that?
I could have scored that. But to add on to that one, I think there's one play where Dan Byrne scuffs a pass right to Odebear. It's like a 2-on-2. Him and Son
play Sonny and
2 center backs. He doesn't even get a shot on goal, bro.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking hell. As someone who's brought in to be a dribbler, he's supposed to thrive in those like 1v1, 2v2 situations. He couldn't even get a shot on goal, bro. Like, come on.
Yeah. And if you just lay that off to Sonny, it's a goal.
Yeah.
We need Dan Byrne as our striker, mate. He's just putting it in the back. He's on the end of Brennan's crosses. Like, dang.
Dude. Honestly, man, against that Newcastle back line, Dan Burns would have been a great. Dan Burns would have been a great option, man. I really think that to that point, if we have Solanke or even a Charleston, I think we win this game.
Oh, easily, bro.
Easily
we win that game.
So again, I think the drop points hurt because, like we've talked about, with the level of competition we face in the Premier League, dropping points, you almost can't, right? Once you drop, I always say once you drop 8 points, you're out of it, right? And that sounds I don't know, a little bit like I'm joking, but I'm really not.
Arsenal we've already too.
Yeah, they did too. So there's teams that have dropped points. I mean, it's always going to be cities for everyone else to chase down, right? But it hurts when you drop those points. But again, we're, like you're saying, one of you said it, but we're building something special. It's obvious. The performance was fantastic. The result wasn't there. I do get a little bit tired of what I've heard in the past as a Tottenham fan, which is like performance over results. And I don't know. I think I draw a line between that old mentality and giving the take that this performance was fantastic, albeit the result wasn't, right? Because I think Ange is that line, right? And the product that we're building, it's different, but it's still a good performance and something that we'll build off of. And again, if we have either one of our strikers, I think we're talking about 3 points right now. So
it's fair. And I think I've typically fallen the more performance-oriented camp, but not when we're literally staring 4 points from 4 games in the face right now.
Exactly.
There's no other way to put it. And that's honestly kind of insurmountable. Not to get top 4, but to challenge for the league. Not that we're gonna, but we're cooked for that. It's going to be a struggle to get top 4. This game reminds me a lot of the Aston Villa game last year. We similarly lost 2-1. A game we absolutely dominated. Brian Hill started for Chang. Bentancur got smacked by Matty Cash, and we lost the game. And that's a team that ended up getting 4th, and we got 5th. And we dominated them both times we played them. That's probably going to be the case with Newcastle, and Newcastle is definitely a team with no European footy that's going to be fighting for 4th place. So it's just am I going to be similarly reflecting on this 2-1 defeat as I did at the end of the season, reflecting on that Villa 2-1 defeat?
Yeah, we can. I guess we can only wait. Time will tell, but not particularly. And we're going to do a big North London Derby preview, listeners. So we'll get to all of that, but safe to say I'm not extremely confident going into that match. So
not to toot my own horn, but 2-1 loss was my prediction.
You did, yeah. Well said. That's what happens when you pick with your head and not your heart. So good on you. let's talk. Let's move on from the shit show up north, and let's just talk briefly about the Europa League draw. For those who don't know, Tottenham's group, or not even a group anymore, it's 8 matches, right? But here's what it looks like. We go first, I believe, to Karabag, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that's at home.
Yes, it's at home.
It's at home. It's at home. So first, Karabag comes to town, not to be taken lightly by any means. I believe they've knocked us out of a European competition in the last 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we'll need to start strong. Then we go to Fener Chavos, I believe is the pronunciation there. They're a Hungarian team, so we travel to Hungary, which is going to be a tough game. As much as we laugh about Hungary, right? It's going to be a tough game because that's how these trips to almost Eastern Europe tend to work that way, right? Then AZ Alkmaar comes into town. I believe that's Troy Parrott, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Chang said it. He texted me immediately. Troy Parrott hat trick loading.
Let's go. God, probably. I mean, it would only be poetry for him to bury us, right? And then we go to Turkey, Galatasaray, and Victor Osimhen, as we were talking about off air, will be someone that we now have to play against. Which
Sanchez isn't Dombele there. Like we have half our old squad.
Tongi's not, but
I think he's at Nice, I think.
He is, yeah.
Oh,
he's been balling.
He was at Galatasaray last year.
He was, for sure.
He was.
Yeah. Dude, even Tanguy left on 2 loans, snagged some trophies. Now he's back in France, dude. Just all you got to do is leave Tottenham, and you'll bag a couple pieces of hardware.
Real quick. If Troy Parrott scores, do you think he celebrates?
Yes.
Dude, I think he will.
Dude, like I would celebrate, bro. I was low-key
knee slide.
I was vouching for him at the start of this year, saying he was better than Dane Scarlett.
Oh my god!
All
right.
Yeah. So we go.
Scores. I'll give one listener a Seattle Spurs scarf.
Hey, deal. You heard it here.
Right here.
Yeah. We'll tell you more about how to make that happen. Yeah, exactly. More to come. First, let Troy get that goal, and then you can figure out how to track down Max. All right, so we go down to Turkey. We play Galatasaray. Match day 5. Roma comes to town. God, I wish it was Jose still. That would have been vibes. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've been okay. They've been okay under De Rossi, so we'll see.
No, didn't they drop points their first 2 games?
I guess I haven't seen the last 2 matches. Just last season, they finished super strong under De Rossi.
They dropped points their first 3 matches. I'm not Italian, Scott. You whatever. Cagliari 0-0 away.
Yeah.
Lost to Empoli at home, and then and then drew 0-0. Juventus away. So they have
maybe that
2 through 3.
Maybe that honeymoon period under De Rossi is fizzling out. But yeah, Roma comes to town. The match day 6, we go up north and play Rangers in Glasgow, so that'll be quite interesting.
Not super excited to play away there, but it's a fun away day for the English.
Yeah, for sure. Should be good. I think they'll put up a fight. I don't expect us to not be able to take 3 points from that match, right? But that'll be one where I think the away of it all factors in for sure.
For sure.
Yeah. Then after that match, Hoffenheim, we travel to Germany to play Hoffenheim on match day 7, and then round out match day 8 at home to Elfsborg, who a fair amount of listeners probably had never heard of before this Europa League draw. You're always going to get 1 or 2 teams that you've never heard of.
Swedish, right?
The Swedish team.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be nice for the Swedes, the Swedish boys on the team.
Swedish community. So
yeah, exactly. Maybe invite some friends and family down from Sweden for that one.
Well, Hoffenheim, you think like away to Germany? Like I'm so confident we're winning that match. Like they suck.
Well, and that's the thing of it all is like I want nothing less than 6 wins, a draw, and a loss. Anything anything less than that, I'm pretty frustrated, right? And I'm not going to predict where the loss comes from. But if we go 6-1-1 in the group, I'll be really happy with that. I think we could do better for sure. If we expect to have a chance to win this thing, then we gotta take it to the group. But you guys see us stumbling anywhere? You feel like we could go run the table?
I think Galatasaray is definitely our toughest game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I think that might be my shot for the loss if I had to predict one. I could see us just dropping a couple points somewhere.
I could see us drop points in Scotland.
Yeah, fair. It's a tough place to go.
I think we're winning. Back. We're winning in Hungary. We're winning all our home games. We definitely should win. Our home games are cake.
Yeah.
And then, Roma, maybe you could see a draw there. I don't think so. And then, if I had to bet it going off what you said, 6-1-1, I'd probably go for loss Galatasaray, draw Rangers, and then 6 W's.
Good show. Well, excited to be back in Europe, and I think a couple seasons ago, Europa League would have pissed me off a little bit, but I'm excited to see what the squad can do. I think, like I said, we have every chance of going out and winning a trophy, especially when we consider Champions League. Fodder isn't dropping down into Europa League this year. There's none of that. And if you look at the list of teams in the competition,
we're the best team.
Spurs better well be damn sure that they're going to go and make a run at this thing. I really want to see us invest a lot of ourselves into this competition this year, and it gets you Champions League, right? Which is
Scott.
I think that has to be considered.
I know there's a couple Italian teams. I know you're kind of a Serie A guy. Are you scared of any of them? Because I know it's always a cheeky Italian or Spanish team that makes the deep run. For me, I got my eye on Sociedad. They're actually my preferred La Liga team. Got a scarf right here. Sociedad. They're low-key cold, so they could be a potential dark horse to win it. Obviously, you got Man United, but then I think Roma and is it Lazio also in there? So I'm scared of those teams in the knockout stages. I'm not scared of Roma at home in the group, but what do you think for those?
Yeah, I don't think either of them are particularly threatening. Lazio has really just kind of nosedived from finishing second a couple of seasons ago, the year Napoli won the title. Just been rocky for them. So I think Napoli is continuing to trend in the wrong direction, both domestically, and I think they kind of caught Europe on the tail end of that downward slope that they're on right now. So I don't expect much from them. I'm a little higher on Roma than some are, for sure. I'm a huge Daniele De Rossi fan, so it probably is somewhat biased, right? He's just an absolute legend for the Italian national team. But he came in and he galvanized that team after Mourinho just burned that place into the ground, unfortunately. And I'm not even one to go off and be super anti-Mourinho. I know there's a lot of Spurs fans that are, but all that aside, Mourinho left Roma in a real tough spot, and De Rossi came in and just galvanized the squad and got him playing really nice, free-flowing, attacking football. So sounds like they've kind of started poorly, as maybe we have, right? So I think that'll be a tough opponent, and that would be the only Italian team that would concern me, like you said, in the knockout rounds, especially going down and playing in Italy. A lot of times for just really sad and unfortunate reasons, right? It can be a tough place to go to right now. We'll see, but Roma will be a good team, I would expect.
Yeah, and then you look at the other teams, it's Ajax, not concerned, and then both the French clubs, I'm all good there. Porto would be a bit scary. Yeah,
I think Olympiacos actually could be a decent.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout.
They just picked up Willian, and also their coach
Spurs killer
Mendilibar. He won the Europa League a few years ago with Brian Hill. So.
Well, they just won the Europa Conference League last year.
Yeah, they also won the Europa Conference League last year. So I think if he can take Brian Hill to a Europa League trophy, he probably take them to a Europa League trophy. So this year,
It's a good shout, man. Yeah, they've got Ayub El Kabi, who just absolutely ran rampant in the Conference League last year, and I didn't realize they had brought Willian in. That's a good little signing. I believe they also have that little dude who used to ball up at Wolves. What's his name?
Moutinho?
Oh, Podence? I think
Yeah, Podence. Oh,
he doesn't play for them anymore. He was on loan, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he was there last year, but that makes sense. Okay.
What
Cool.
happened?
Yeah, we'll see.
Where does he play now?
Wolves, man.
Shit.
Good question.
I think he's
He
still
was
at
low-key cold in FIFA.
Oh, he's in Saudi actually now.
Oh, makes sense.
Crazy.
Yeah, still can't believe the Bergwijn news. And then Koeman comes out and says his national team career is essentially done after that move. So,
Dude, Chang is a Bergwijn fan, a Hill
do.
fan,
I have
and
a
a
Bergwijn
Solomon
jersey.
fan.
I have a Bergwijn jersey.
Most cooked winger crop I've ever seen.
I got the Bergwijn kid.
What a
I got
fire.
that. Yeah, that baby blue with the collar.
I have an Ajax one.
Oh, got you. Sick.
Yeah. But
wait, when did we have a baby blue kit with a collar?
It was like navy trim, baby blue.
Oh,
yeah.
Wait, wasn't that
green,
one? Was it? I'm totally blanking on this kit.
It's like light blue, right?
Yeah. Light blue, baby blue, had navy on the collar, navy on the cuffs. Looked like totally like a golf polo. It was like a formal shirt.
I'm just thinking of like our green shirt, our yellow shirt.
That yellow one that looked like a grade in of like how hydrated you are. That was an awful kit.
Was it the like teal looking one? Like
maybe it's more teal than like baby blue.
Did we play in the Champions League with it? Because I remember Kane rocking like this ugly teal kit.
No, that's the scuba one, right? I think
no, not the scuba.
Not the scuba
one. It's like the one. It's like teal. It's This has got to be it. I think it has a collar, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It could be more like.
I'm not a fan of that one. It's just too much color.
Too formal, man. Yeah. Well, anyways, yeah. I'm glad we could get some scuba talking. What a terrible fucking kit,
dude. Can we talk about our fucking away kit, dude? It's scuba
doing?
Level, bro. Like, what am I seeing?
You don't like it? Yeah,
no, I hate it. I love
I don't
the
like
third
little
kit,
like
though.
rolled over collar.
The collar is really bad. It's
you're talking about the away kit.
I'm talking about the away kit.
Away kit's awful. It's one of the worst.
Away kit is shambolic.
Yeah.
This season's?
Yes.
I hate it. Yeah.
Dude, it is so ugly. Why is it like striped? It's like striped, but you can't see. Like, it's not striped. It's like fade. It's like fading white and blue.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I looking at, dude?
Dude, and the badge is central, but the Nike's still.
I know.
Super weird.
And have you guys seen the collar's unsymmetric, like not symmetrical?
Yeah. Yes.
Dude, Liverpool is the same too.
It's Nike, man. They're trying to keep up with Adidas, and
I like the third kit though a lot. Like that crest is.
What do we think of the tick though?
The Nike tick vertical.
The vertical. I kind of like.
I'm honestly chill with it. I kind of. Yeah. I dig it.
I didn't like it at first, but it grew on me for sure. I also learned that it's like it's something Nike's doing to remind people that the women's game is also like super relevant. It's just like that's their thing behind it, is like we're flipping the badge to remind people that there's like another side of football that can be forgotten about, which I think is super cool too. So in that regard, I liked it.
Say that. Like I had never heard that in my life.
Yeah, I had to learn from somebody who's like a really good friend of mine who's super embedded in the women's game. She does a really sick podcast, N17 Women, if anyone's ever interested in catching up on the women's team for sure.
Dude, I need to get up with that, high key.
Yeah, check out N17 Women.
I know Bethany England.
Yeah, Beth is a baller. Just signed this gal from Real Madrid too.
I saw that. Yeah.
Big signing. So yeah. For all those who are interested, like I said, N17 women, want to give them a huge shout out. A good friend of mine, Caroline Stefko, is a staple part of that group. So check them out when you have a second. Yeah, but I like the third kit too. I think the mini rolled over collar is a little weird.
It's pretty
But
weird.
it's also
Yeah.
kind of growing on me. But the badge is just dirty, man. That
Oh,
badge,
it's so
It
good.
is.
I
It's
kind of
so-
want to buy it. I think I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get it.
yeah.
I want to buy the first team kit or the home kit, and but I don't know. It's just like I already have so many white Spurs kits, but this one is especially clean with the blue sleeves.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's move on. Let's gear towards the end of the show here. As always, we got a couple of things that we want to get to, sponsorships from the group, the Academy watch, and then the Loan Watch. But before we do, let's talk transfers very briefly. George Abbott goes to Notts County on loan. Pretty excited about that one, and it looks like he played well in his opening match. Keeley goes to Leyton Orient. There's a really special bond between Tottenham and Leyton Orient that continues to show itself. And then there's rumors, like we talked about, of potentially Region ending up in Turkey. I think we're all just kind of hoping and praying that does happen, right? I think it needs to, not only for Spurs' sake, but for Sergio Region's sake as well. I don't necessarily think that his experience at the club warrants the situation he's in, but it's not personal, right? It's just that he doesn't fit the system and he needs to move on. But let's talk window grades. Now that it's closed and done, at least for incoming. Chang, what do you rate the window?
Maybe a B, but if it couldn't be a B, probably a B minus. I think Solanke obviously is what's gonna carry our window, whether he pops off 20 plus goals or he doesn't, or maybe 15. And we'll give him 15. But I think obviously towards the end of this window, we saw some more typical Daniel Levy excuses. Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall. We don't need another center mid type of thing. Like, I don't want to spend money on another center mid. So I think overall, yeah, around a B. Odebear, obviously a great signing. Already started 2 games, so looks to have an impact this season, I think. So
Yeah, B minus. Max, what about you?
Yeah, for me it's a C. Still don't feel confident that we got the creator that we were yearning for all window. Super happy with Slanky's obviously the bright spot there, but then other than that, it's just pieces for the future. Can't really complain, but would have liked another senior player, maybe a couple more. Especially with the left side of defense, it's looking pretty weak, especially at left back. And Van de Ven's already hurt, so we're already kind of experiencing this. I'm going with a C. I'm not going to be overly negative about it, but just wanted a little bit more. But also happy with everyone we've signed. I'm happy with, but I just always want more.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't say this to cop out, but I think you can look at the window from 2 different grades. I think if you want to look at the window for what it means for the future of this club and what we're building, I think B plus, A minus. But if you want to talk about the immediate now, I'm right there with you at a C. I just don't think we did enough to compete right now, right? And even the Lucas Bergvalls and Archie Grays, who I'm super, super stoked and really buzzing about those two. I don't think they're going to have the impact that we want and dream for them to have this season at Spurs, right? So some of this is for the future. That leads me to ask you guys a question that's not on the rundown. So I'll break from the rundown for a second. But I was having this conversation earlier this week with some friends, and this project and the performance and all of that we've been talking about, the future with Ange, all well and good, and it's exciting. But is there a world where football is moving so fast and so many teams are just playing with crazy amounts of money to where even when the project reaches 4 or 5 years, it doesn't matter because we're still behind everyone else and what they're doing? Or do we really think that this project can get us to a point, and I mean project on and off the field, right? Both Ange Postecoglou and everything that the club's doing with the stadium revenue and all these new partnerships, NFL, concerts, rugby, all of that, right? Does that project ever get us to a place where we're competing with City and Arsenal and Liverpool, or are we just too far behind?
I think
Go
we
ahead.
get there. I think we get there with time, but it's just we can't just solely bank on like right now's investments. Like
Yeah.
what we're saying now is that we're building for the future, but when it is the future, we can't just have what we're buying right now. We need to also invest in players that are
Yeah.
going to make us good then. Like in American sports, it's called a win now. And like we're probably 2 or 3 years away from being really win now. Like we are challenging for the title. And when that comes, we got to be ready. We can't just, I'm not going to be happy with 3 more 19-year-olds at that point. Like we're going to
Yeah.
need like 24, 25 people in your prime that are coming to Spurs and trying to win the Premier League. So I think we can get to that point. I'm not super confident that we will get the investment needed to push us over the edge.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because one thing the Spurs have really struggled with is refreshing and recycling the squad. Obviously, I'm a little bit nervous with what I saw under Pochettino. We just grew with this young group until we couldn't move any of them on. It didn't refresh, and it just kind of all fell apart under Mourinho and Conte. Rather than investing in the squad, we said, squad shit, but bring in a world-class manager, and maybe we can go and win something. And it proved to be quite the opposite of how things work. I look at the Sir Alex Ferguson era. They recycled and refreshed so well. Pep Guardiola now, and those are the two most recent like dynasties, you could say, in the Premier League, right? Pep Guardiola always refreshes and recycles, and even though they're made of money, their approach in the market is really keen, and it's obviously paid off for them, right? Spurs have really struggled to do that, and I think one of the main reasons we struggled to do that is we don't move on players who are in their prime unless it's for crazy amounts of money, where other clubs are willing to do that. Like if we would have sold Kane to City 4 years ago when he didn't go, right? And we held out, and this is when he was like not even in training. He was chilling in Florida, and everyone was like up in arms about it, right? We didn't win anything after that, didn't even come fucking close. And if we would have sold Kane for the $150 million the City was waving around, who knows, right? But we just have really struggled to know when it's okay to sell on one of your on-field assets, right? So, Chang, do you think we're learning our lesson, or do you have any hope for that improving under Spurs?
I think it's like honestly the cop out. It's complicated. Like you look at Brighton, and they're a well-run club, but if we ran our club like Brighton, where like you said, we're selling Kane in his prime for what, 100 mil, kind of like Brighton's selling like Caicedo, McAllister, all these players. If you're constantly selling your best players, yeah, you're making a profit, but are you going to win something? And I guess the hope back then was we're keeping one of the best strikers in Prem history, and we're gonna win something with him. But as it turns out, we didn't win anything. So I guess 2020 hindsight, yeah, we should have sold him. But the hope back then wasn't that we weren't gonna win anything, obviously. So I think it's an expectation that comes with being like a top 6 club, that yeah, you want to challenge for trophies, because hypothetically, if we ran our club like Brighton, like Dortmund, like Ajax, you sell our prospects, you're making a profit. Yeah, you're consistently making a profit. You're consistently reinvesting, but what are they really winning in that time? I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
and they're also developing talent, and they're really shrewd in the market when it comes to bringing talent in those teams, and we're getting there for sure. But I also, like you said, I don't think that we're in a position to act necessarily exactly like Brighton does. And I talked about this on another show that I was on earlier this week, and I think because we're at a place where we're right there but not quite there, I think that's one of the more challenging places to be as a fan base, right? If you're finishing mid-table every year and you don't expect much and you celebrate the big wins and it kind of is what it is, but when you're right there and can't quite get over the hump, that's again a really tough place to be for a fan, maybe in the entire pyramid, right? Those teams that bounce around, fans are used to it, but Spurs fans are having a bit of a go at it over the last 4 or 5 years, and I think that's probably a lot to do with why, at least from the perspective of Twitter, things look so bleak and so chaotic right now.
Yeah, and we're doing like our version of a rebuild right now. And obviously this isn't like America, because the way you rebuild in America is you become the worst team in the league. And we don't have that option. That's just not going to happen. So all we can do is spend to get over the hump. We can't do a traditional American sports like, oh, just like be bad, draft, get good players, they'll be good one day. Like, that's how it works here. It's a lot simpler. There's a lot less money. It's a lot, I think, more fair. As much as if you're British, whatever, if you're a soccer fan, come at me. I think that system is way more fair to every team in the league. Every team has a genuine shot, which is not the case. And we're one of the teams that has a shot, but do we actually? And we don't, unless we really start spending a lot of money, as well as investing in the young talent.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Yeah, as we always say, time will tell with Spurs, right? But one thing at a time. Next is the North London Derby after the international break. As I said earlier, we'll be back as a podcast or YouTube show before that match to break it down in much detail. Before we wrap, though, want to hop into our segments that we do every week. First, brought to you by the Wits End and Finney Ridge is the Academy Watch. And Max, I'm going to kick it over to you. I know you want to run through a name of Academy lads who have been called up to their international duty and show them their flowers, and then talk about anything else you're interested in.
Yeah, so I just want to say the 21s lost again 1-0. So they have started the season 2-2 now. Not as good as last year's group, but how can you be? They were the best academy team in the country. So the 18s have won 3 straight on the back of Luca Williams-Barnett. I've talked about him every single time we've had this segment. He bagged another goal there. And then, I'm going to run through the lads who got the England call-up from our academy. Luca Gunter, keeper, could be featured in Europa if things are really going poorly, but he got the call up. Mikey Moore, obviously, Leo Black, who's in the 21s now. He was part of the 18s last year. George Feeney, who I talked about last week on the 18s. He got the call up for Wales. Malachi Hardy as well is 16. He got the call up for England. Williams Barnett with the call-up. He's just been on fire. Janai Byfield, who featured in a preseason friendly with the call-up. And then some more familiar names. Dane Scarlett, Ashley Phillips, Alfie Devine, who's staying at Tottenham. Watch for him in the Europa League this year. Hopefully we can get that man some minutes because he deserves it. They all got called up for England. And then Will Lancashire was scheduled to get called up, but is omitted from the squad due to injury. And then lastly, Wilson Odebear and Archie Gray also getting call-ups for the youth teams, even though they're a part of the senior team.
Yeah, love it. Best of luck to all those names, and lovely to see such a large group of academy players get called up to the national teams at various levels. Speaks for the future of the club and the conversation we just had. That'll wrap up the academy talk, brought to you again by the Wits End in Finney Ridge. Last but not least, Loan Watch, brought to you by our great friends down at Cascades in Puyallup. Chang, I'm going to go to you. Start with Alejo Veliz. And I'm not coming to you on heel yet. I'm going to let you cook on Brian too. But Alejo Veliz, man, big match winner at the weekend for Espanyol. gave a very emotional interview after the match. You could see what it meant to him. Talked a lot about how the last year for him footballistically, he said, was really challenging.
Great word.
Didn't play, right? So it's tough. Shouted out his coaches, his girlfriend, his family, just a really happy dude. But that's a huge moment for him, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, 90+6 winner against Rayo Vallecano, I believe. Yeah. Good to see. Good to see his confidence getting back. But is he really gonna be good enough to play for Tottenham at one day? Guess time will tell. Guess we're probably just gonna keep loaning him out until he's probably gonna have like the Troy Parrott treatment. So we'll see, I guess.
I love it, man. Chang always keeping the dreamers in check, man, keeping them around. But no, I'm right there with you. A lot to be said still for Leo Valise, but I was super happy for him. Max, come back to you, man. Yeah, no doubt. Ashley Phillips, what's going on in the Ashley Phillips world?
Apparently, first two starts for Stoke, I think got hooked while they were already winning for the Carabao around 70. Completed his first full 90 at the weekend. I'm hearing man of the match shouts from the Stoke fans. He was playing against his club last year, Plymouth Argyle, and I know they're missing him there. Just a class player. Still only 19 years old, and I expect him to be in the squad coming up. And there was an Ange quote like, yeah, we didn't invest in the defense as much as maybe people would have thought because we got Vucevic and we got Ashley Phillips coming in. He name dropped those two players, so clearly he values those two coming in next year.
Yep. Yeah, love it, man. Ashley Phillips, I think, has a real bright future, and glad to see him doing well. Chang, Brian Heel, talk to me, man. What's going on down in Spain?
Yeah, so this is the segment I actually wake up looking forward to every single day. But Ryan Gill, back-to-back man of the matches for Girona, scored a goal, first goal of the season, had more goals than Mbappe at one point, actually. So Mbappe is playing catch-up right now. But yeah, so first goal against Osasuna in a 3-0 win, I believe. 4-0, sorry. 4-0. But anyways, back-to-back man of the matches. I think with Brian Hill, it's no longer can we loan him out and can he come good enough to come back and play for Tottenham? It's more can we loan him out? He shows that he's actually worth something and we neglect the money that we lost on him back whenever we signed him. So I think based on his performances, I think he could probably get a bid from Spain probably at the end of the season if he continues this form. And I think the Girona fans are warming up to him a little bit. I always have to translate the comments on the Instagram for that. But I think, yeah, so La Liga obviously seems to suit him. So I think we could see a bid come in for him, probably make around like 15 mil back. Neglect the losses a little bit, make it hurt a little less. But yeah, I don't think he has a future at Tottenham.
Yeah, I agree. Somewhere Eric Lamel is crying.
Wait, let me jump in real quick. Yeah. This is completely off topic, but we definitely should have talked about this either at the start or sometime before the end of the show. Gio and Johnny Cardoso. Do we want to discuss
Let's talk about that, man.
Yeah,
let's talk about that. I got thoughts. Well, let's wrap up the loan watch.
I'm gonna let you cook after the loan watch. Yeah.
And all we gotta go through is our boys Scarlett and Donley, who it sounds like maybe aren't playing super well in their respective loans. But what do you got to say on those two, Max?
Yeah, so Jamie Donley, he's playing off the left or in the center for Leyton Orient. He's starting every game, so that's a positive. Getting first team football. It is a League One club, and he has not registered a goal or assist. It doesn't sound like he's been awesome for them. And I know me and Scott were talking about potentially him playing in the championship. That's kind of what I envisioned. He had a good preseason. So would hope that he gets going a little bit in League One. And then Dane Scarlett, championship loan, Oxford, one of the worst sides in that division, and he's barely playing. Yeah. That's all I have to say about Dane Scarlett. I'm
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
tired. I'm just tired of him, dude. It's been 4 years.
Yeah, I think he's had his chance, and I think championship to League One's probably his level, is what we're learning. Yeah,
Sounds
so
like
hope
League
hope.
One.
Yeah, for sure. Hope the best for both of those guys. I think Donnelly's got a brighter
Donnelly
future
will
and a
figure it out.
higher ceiling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but keep tuning in, folks. We'll keep bringing you updates on our folks on loan. Yeah, let's talk about the Cardoso Gio deal before we wrap up. I've never been the biggest Giovanni Lo Celso fan, which you guys know. And that's strictly because when we signed him, the most appearances he'd ever had for a respective club was 32. He just doesn't play enough. And so I was just highly suspicious of the move in general. I think there's a fitness issue. There also seems to be a trust issue with every manager that he's played for, and he just never gets going. I always joke about, I think he just plays club football so he can continue to get called up to the Argentine team. And if, that wasn't a prerequisite, he would just hang out and then wait for international football, right? But so yeah, I wasn't super sad to see him go. Fee was a little low, but I think that's
$4 million.
$4 million. Oh, 25 for Skip, by the way.
Yeah,
dude. What am I seeing?
So what you're seeing is that what I was just getting at. I think anyone who does a deep dive on this guy from a club's perspective just says, nah, it's just not an investment we're interested in making. He's had his stints where he played pretty well in Spain, right? But he just 32 appearances was again, he's had more than that at Spurs, right? But when we signed him, 32 appearances was his max at any club that he played for. So yeah, I just I don't think he's favored by many teams. There's also no money in Europe, which factors into this, right? But 4 million, 50% sell on clause, which I think is interesting to point out, right? So
he's 28. Like,
I mean, we're not going to get anything from that. What's interesting is the Cardoso bit of it all. And I'll remove my U.S. men's national team hat here for a second, right? I do think Cardoso is a good player, played really well in Brazil, earned his move to Betis, and has looked really good. I think he was arguably probably their best player at the last half of the season last year. Solid midfielder. So if Johan Lange and this data-driven approach says that he's somebody we're interested in, right? We weren't going to make the move now for reasons we've just talked about, but if we're interested in him, we now have the option to sign him essentially at a release clause of, I believe, 32 million, which sounds like a lot of money, but not as much for a good midfielder these days. We also have a 20% clause if Betis sells him anywhere else, right? So again, it's all money on the back end, but I think if Ange says Lo Celso's not involved in my plans, he's on, I think, 120 a week. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's right around there, Lo Celso, right? We need him off the books. Nobody's coming in. The most they can do is 4 million because they're absolutely broke, right? Betis is broke. They say all we can do is 4 million. We need someone to take him. We say, okay, there's only one way this works, and we essentially bought equity in Cardoso.
We bought stock in a player. I've never seen any.
Exactly. It's a very Levy thing to do, but I think it's creative, and I'm in favor of it. Also, very interested in him playing for Spurs. Right, we need a 6. He can play that profile fairly well. So yeah, time will tell. I won't be surprised if we bring him in January or next summer. I just don't see us doing that if we're not very interested.
I just wanted to bring him in now. Like what is the holdup, dude? I feel like that's a position Chang talked about like addressing before multiple times. It's definitely an area where like Basuma has his days. Bentancur has his days, but no one's really nailed on that spot. And like, I don't know, maybe they don't want to muddy the waters for Archie Gray, kind of see what he does in the first half of the season or throughout the season. But for me, it's just like get him walking in the door. I don't know how, like, I just am so lost with like the fact that we would get we would get the sell on clause if they sold him elsewhere, because like I don't know. I understand how it works. I'm just like, whatever. This is just getting too complex.
it's a weird,
for me.
it's a
Like,
weird
just,
deal.
Just sign the guy. I like him. He's a U.S. player.
Fair. Yeah, I mean, from the perspective of us needing a 6 and should have maybe just brought him in. I understand what you're saying. So yeah, we'll see. I think that was an interesting move by Levy. But yeah, that'll do it, guys, for Emerald and Lilywhite. I appreciate everybody who's hung in for the last hour. This has been episode 12. For everyone at Seattle Spurs, we appreciate the time. Make sure you follow us at and Lilywhite on Twitter, at and underscore Lilywhite, I believe, on Instagram, and then at and Lilywhite at all your other platforms. Make sure you follow Seattle Spurs at Seattle Spurs on Twitter, Seattle Spurs on Facebook, at Seattle Spurs on Instagram. We'd certainly appreciate it. Of course, we are the official YouTube channel of Seattle Spurs. So for myself at Scotchy Bird, for Max at Going Limbs, for Alex Chang at Alex Chang with an X instead of an A. We appreciate everyone who's been here. Make sure you like, subscribe, blah, 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 all that stuff. Show the love, right? Help us grow the platform. And most importantly, help us grow the Spurs brand in the wonderful and great city of Seattle, Washington. But again, for myself and for everyone at Seattle Spurs, as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.